Good evening, students. Hello and welcome to all of you in my history class. Today, this is the concluding part of Class 10 History, Chapter 1 The Rise of Nationalism in Europe. So, let's get started. Today, our topic is Visualizing the Nation and Nationalism and Imperialism. So, let's start with the first topic, that is Visualizing the Nation. Now, visualizing the nation means to represent the nation through a portrait or through a picture or through a statue. Okay, so to give face to a nation, artists, they were actually in the 18th and 19th centuries, they were personifying a nation to give a face to the nation through symbols, through pictures, through portrait. Okay, so here can say, in other words, it means that they represented a country as if it were a person. So artists during that time period in the 18th or 19th century, they were representing the country as if it were a person. Okay, just like a person. But in reality, it does not exist. Nations were then portrayed as female figures. The female form that was chosen to personify the nation did not stand for any particular woman in real life. Rather, it sought to give an abstract idea of a nation as a concrete form, in a concrete form. So we can say that female figure became an allegory of the nation. Okay, allegory means what? It is an abstract idea, just an abstract idea which does not exist in reality. And it is expressed through a person or through a thing. An allegorical story, it has two meanings of it. One is literal meaning and the second one is symbolic meaning. Okay, so here we'll see that nation was portrayed as a female figure. Okay, and just like a person, so female figure became an allegory of the nation. Understood, children? Like for example, in our country India, Bharat Mata is an Indian allegory, right? Example, like in France, French artists used this female allegory to portrait, to show, liberty, justice and republic. Okay, through portrait, through these pictures, through statues and allegory. They have also used this thing, French artists. So, during French Revolution, the artists, they use this female allegory. Okay, to portray the ideas such as liberty, justice and republic. Now these ideals were represented through specific objects or some symbols, as we have already studied that through symbols like red cap, broken chain, these type of symbols were used by those artists to portray the ideas of liberty, justice, republic and equality. Okay, while justice is generally a blindfolded woman carrying a pair of weighing scale, right? Okay, now such female allegories were invented by the artist in the 19th century to represent the nation. And in France, she was Christian Marion. Okay, this was the name of female allegory in France, that is Christian Marion, a popular Christian name which underlined the idea of a people's nation. And her characteristics were drawn from those of liberty and republic. Okay, which portrays the idea of liberty and republic. Okay, now like the red cap, tricolor, the cockade. So statues of this Marion, okay, were erected in public square. Why? To remind the public or the citizens of the national symbol of unity and to persuade them to identify with it. Okay, So Marian images were marked on coins and stamps. Okay. So children, you can see here, picture was already given. See, this picture is given over here. Postage stamp of 1850 with the figure of Marion representing the Republic of France. Okay. Okay. So allegory. This thing you must remember, children. This is also very important. And the name must remember, Christian Marion. Okay. That is a popular Christian name in France. Whereas you will see Germania, it became the allegory of German nation. Okay, Germania. This is the name of German allegory. Okay, and in visual representation, Germania were a crown of oak leaves, as the German oak stands for heroism. So you can see here, children, the picture was given over here. This picture. Okay. Germania. This is the figure of Germania. She wears a crown of oak leaves. Okay. Whereas this is the picture which was given in the stamp. This picture is of Marion, Christian Marion. Okay, in France. And this one, Germania, of German nation. She is an allegory of German nation. Okay. I hope, children, this one you have understood very well. Okay. Next, our topic is coming to the next topic, and you go through it. What is the meaning of all this symbol? Okay, broken chain, crown of oak leaves, surge, and rays of the rising sun. Okay, pictures are also given over here. You can go through it. What's the meaning of the symbols? This is already given, which has the inner meaning. Okay. Now, next topic is our nationalism and imperialism. Okay. Now, children, what is the meaning of nationalism? As we are going through this chapter, rise of nationalism in Europe. So, I hope you have understood the meaning of nationalism. That is love and devotion towards a nation, right? The feelings, the nationalist sentiments which arose among the people, among the citizens. And they will come together to form a nation state, right? So, nationalism means love and devotion towards a nation. Now, imperialism. What is the meaning of imperialism? It means a policy or a system of extending a country's power through the use of military force, colonization, or some other means. Okay, so it is a system of extending a country's power through any means like military force or colonization, okay, by force, to dominate over the small or weak countries. Okay, so here we'll see, children, that how this feelings of nationalism or nationalist sentiments, it totally shifted to imperialism. Okay, imperialistic, how it becomes, let's see. And in simple terms, we can say, children, imperialist means the largest or the powerful countries, they will try to dominate over the poorer or weaker countries and extend its territory to become more powerful. Okay, this is in simple terms it means. Now, let's see what happened. By the last quarter of the 19th century, nationalism no longer retained its idealistic, liberal, democratic sentiment. Okay, it no longer retained, means now nationalism no longer remained as it was before. Okay, nationalist feelings. Now what happened? It became a narrow creed with some limited ends. Okay, why it was written? Let's see. During this time period, nationalist groups, they became increasingly intolerant of each other. Means this nationalist group, they were, there was a feeling of jealousy, there was a feeling of a type of fighting. Okay, they can't see each other, they were trying to, you know, exert their power, dominate, a type of situation created like that. Okay, so this nationalist group, they became intolerant of each other, they can't tolerate each other, and they were even ready to go to war. Okay, now let's see. The major European powers, in turn, they manipulated the nationalist aspiration of the people. Okay, these European powers, as they were so much powerful, European powers means European countries, they were trying to manipulate the nationalist aspiration or the feeling of the people in Europe. Why? To further their own imperialist aim. As this European power, they were having their own imperialist aim, means they were trying to dominate or control over the small countries. So they were manipulating the aspirations of the people, nationalist aspiration of the people, to dominate over them, to show their imperialistic aims. Okay, now the most serious source of nationalist tension which emerged in Europe after 1871 was the area called the Balkan region. Okay, this region here. Nationalist tension emerged here, Balkan region. Balkan was a region of geographical and ethnic variation comprising modern day Romania, okay, Bulgaria, Albania, Greece, Macedonia, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Slovenia, Serbia, Montenegro, whose inhabitants were broadly known as Slavs. Okay, so Balkan was a region of geographical and ethnic variation. Okay, different ethnic groups reside here, and the inhabitants who were residing or living in this region were known as Slavs. Okay, now a large part of Balkans was under the control of the Ottoman Empire, as we have studied, no children, Islamic ruler or the Muslim ruler. So large part of Balkan was under the control of Ottoman Empire, okay, that Islamic ruler. Now the spread of the ideas of romantic nationalism in Balkan, together with the disintegration of Ottoman Empire, made this region very explosive. So what is happening here? As we have seen that gradually Ottoman empires or the Islamic rulers power was decreasing. Okay, now at that time what is happening, the spread of ideas of this romantic nationalism was there in the country, and together with the fall of this Ottoman Empire, gradually it made this region very much explosive. Why? All through the 19th century, Ottoman Empire, it tried to strengthen itself. Okay, means become some more powerful through modernization and also internal reforms. But what happened? It got very little success. Okay, Ottoman Empire. Now one by one, its European subject nationalities, they broke away from its control. So the European subject nationalities, which was under the control of Ottoman Empire, they broke away from its control, means they were totally separating, and they declared independence, means freedom, liberty. Now the Balkan people, they based their claim for independence or political rights on nationality, and also they use the history to prove that once they had been independent. Okay, hence the rebellious nationalities in the Balkan thought of the struggle as attempt to win back their lost long independence. Now, as the different Slavic nationalities that struggle to define their identity and also independence, the Balkan area became an area of intense conflict. Okay, totally conflict or tension was there in the Balkan region among the Slavic nationalities who were the inhabitants of Balkan region. Now the Balkan states were fiercely jealous of each other. Okay, these states were jealous of each other, and they hoped to gain more territory at the expense of the others. So they wanted to extend their territory by they want to expand their territory by occupying, okay, another area or the region in this way, and they were jealous of each other. Balkan states. Now matters were so much, it became complicated because the Balkan also became the scene of big power rivalry. Okay, that time rivalry was there, big power rivalry. What was that? There was intense rivalry among the European powers. Okay, so much rivalry or enmity was going on among the European powers over trade and colonies, as well as naval and military power also. Okay, so this is another reason why this matter become so much complicated and tension was there, because one of the reason was that the Balkan states, they were fiercely jealous of each other, and they wanted to expand their territories by occupying other region or territories. Whereas another reason was that the European rivalry system was there. Okay, rivalry was there among the big European powers over trade and colonies, as well as naval and military power. And these rivalries were very evident in the way Balkan problem unfolded. Each power like Russia, Germany, England, Austro-Hungary also was keen on countering the hold or other power, okay, over the Balkan region. So these European powers, they were keen, so much taking interest to hold of power, okay, over the Balkan region, and extending its control over this area, Balkan area. Okay, so this led to a series of war in this region, and finally the First World War took place here. Okay, First World War took place in this region. Next, nationalism aligned with imperialism. As we have seen how this nationalist it shifted to imperialist, right? Now, it led Europe to disaster in 1914, as so much tension, conflict, enmity and fighting was going on. But meanwhile, many countries in the world which had been colonized by European powers, they began to oppose this imperial domination. Exactly, they must oppose this thing, because this is not at all good. For their own imperialist aim, they were doing all this thing. So big European powers, many countries were there which were colonized by the Britishers, by this European powers. They were now began to oppose or protest against this imperial domination or control. Now the anti-imperial movements that developed everywhere was nationalist. Okay, this anti-imperial movement which was developing now, means everywhere, it was, we can say, nationalist, in the sense that they all struggled to form independent nation states, right? And they were inspired by a sense of collective national unity, which was forged in confrontation with imperialism, because they all wanted independent nation states. And European ideas of nationalism were nowhere replicated. Now people everywhere, they developed their own specific variety of nationalism. But the idea that society should be organized into nation state, it came to be accepted as natural and universal. Okay, the idea that society should be organized into nation states. Nation states means where people will share a common culture, history, okay, common language, and their common, a sense of brotherhood will be there. Okay, so this idea of this nation state, it should be there. So the society should be organized into nation states, and it came to be accepted as natural and universal, okay, everywhere. So this is a good idea. And by this, children, we have already completed this chapter. We have covered all the topics of this chapter. This is the last part. Today we have discussed nationalism and imperialism and visualizing the nation. So I hope, children, today's topic are clear to you. But for a clear conception of this chapter, whole entire chapter, you must go through all the videos which are already I have made, which were in part wise. So you must go through all the videos, okay, for a clear conception. Must watch all the videos. So thank you children for watching the video. Thank you again, and study well and keep updated. Thank you.